betta fish, something so many want to do, but probably shouldn't because if done wrong, it can be a pain in your butt like you wouldn't believe. Now, breeding bettas is something you really should not be selfish about, and if you do not have the space or resources for it, you should really not do it because bettas can have up to anywhere from, I would say, 7 babies to about a couple hundred. And no, I did not make up those numbers. I happened to breed 2 pairs recently, and one of them gave me 7 babies, and the other gave me a couple hundred, so... But, I mean, breed at your own risk. So anyways, step 1 would be conditioning. Conditioning a pair can take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. Your pair will tell you when they're ready. So what conditioning is basically feeding your fish lots of high-protein foods and fattening them up and preparing them to have babies. Along with feeding high-protein foods, you're going to want to let your betta flare for about 15 to 20 minutes a day with other fish. Step 2 of the breeding process is setting up the tank. This tank may look very odd to you because it's small and bare. And what you read online a lot and see is that you want a 10-gallon minimum with lots of plants so that the female can hide. Now, I did this and I did it for months and nothing happened. The female would hide, the male just wouldn't try, they just would ignore each other. So finally I ended up messaging the breeder that I got this male from who had successfully bred him before, and he told me his technique of breeding, which was a very bare 5-gallon with little water and just the 2 fish, so that they wouldn't get distracted and they could see each other and they would just be like forced to get the job done. And it worked very well. But there was actually too much space in the 5-gallon, and as you see I ended up dividing it even more. Step 3 is finally introducing the pair. You're going to want to put the male in the tank before the female so that he can get to know the area and be very confident and comfortable with the area. You may also see in other places that they say you shouldn't release your female until the male creates a bubble nest, which is not necessarily true because I find that the best nests come once the female is out, because he may not make a nest until he is confident that he's getting the female. So after either a few hours, 30 minutes, a day, however long you think that your pair needs, you can release the female and just be patient at this point and wait it out, wait for them to get to know each other, want to breed. Eventually they will both come around and they will both make babies. So now that your pair has gotten to know each other through the cup, it's time for them to get to know each other in person. At this point, you just kind of want to leave the pair alone, not disturb them. You can watch them a little bit, but try to keep distance because they do get annoyed when you're up in their face sometimes, I've learned. Something that may freak out new breeders is what's happening above, which is the female kind of bullying the male kind of bullying her, them nipping at each other, chasing each other, not really showing interest, kind of acting like they don't want to be with each other. Like you'll see him kind of nip at her here. And it does look scary. It looks like he's attacking her. It looks like he's trying to kill her, but he's not. He's just getting to know her and just wants her near or away the nest. He'll let her know. He will figure it out. They are fine. Leave them be. Unless he is literally murdering her, they are okay. This will end soon and they will be just fine. Now you see that she's kind of settled right here, and he's going to come up to her and do a little dance, build his nest a little bit, show her what he's got. This fighting behavior may go on for a while and it might freak you out, but as you will see in this video, he hangs around his nest and he shows that he wants to breed. He is doing this because he wants to breed with her, which is okay, and she doesn't really go and hide or try to. She just kind of hangs out near him, watching him. So they are okay. They do want to breed. They're getting there. The next step and most important step is the embrace, which is where the male and the female wrap and they fertilize the eggs and the eggs come out. Now here's a failed attempt. This pair actually didn't end up working, but this is the only video I happen to have of this process. Ideally, after the female drops the eggs, the male goes down and gets them while she is in a dead-like state, pretty much, but she's not dead, don't worry. He picks them up and he puts them in the nest. The pair will do this quite a few times, and eventually once he starts chasing her away and she kind of hides towards the back, you'll know that they're done. But as you see here, they are still going. Now that the female's out of the tank, the male will make sure to take care of them, and anywhere from 24 to 48 hours or so, The eggs should hatch if they're fertile, and or if the male doesn't eat them, because that will happen sometimes. They should hatch and they'll look like this, which is basically just a little black dot with a clear tail. You're going to want to leave the male in the tank with the freshly hatched babies for possibly 2 to 3 days until they are out swimming horizontally from the nest, because as you see, he will go and find any who are out lost from the nest and bring them back. Now it's time to prepare the baby brine shrimp for once the bettas are free swimming. Here I am just putting some table salt and a pinch of baking soda, which you'll see I spilled everywhere because I'm awful at recording. And I just add this into the water, which is in the brine shrimp hatchery that I ordered off Amazon. And I got the brine shrimp eggs from eBay, I believe, maybe Amazon. I'm not sure, I've had them for a while. I honestly don't know any of the ratios of the salt to the baking soda to the water to the eggs. I just kind of make it the same every time and just guess, and then I add any amount of eggs that I need, and it tends to work every time. Once the babies are starting to swim around on their own, you'll notice the male taking a lot more breaks and just resting because they don't need him anymore, and this is him telling you that he's ready to come out of the tank. Okay, so now that the male has exited the tank, you're going to want to start feeding the babies lots and lots of food and doing daily water changes, or at least at this point start adding some water to the tank if you can't start doing water changes yet, because you want to make sure you don't suck them up or hurt them. This particular spawn that you're seeing had so many babies, I ended up having to move them into a couple different tanks when they were about 3-ish days old. So that's why there's so many brine shrimp and so many babies in so many tanks. You're just going to want to keep feeding them brine shrimp until you think they're big enough for other foods, or you can feed them vinegar eels, microworms, banana worms, whatever you're wanting them to eat, and keep doing your water changes and watching them grow and enjoy. Eventually, I moved this enormous spawn to a much larger tank where they could all be together and grow together at the same rates. They get 50% water changes in their 40-gallon every day, or every other day, whatever I can get to. I try for every day though, and they get fed at least once a day. I try to go for twice though. If you have any unanswered questions, please feel free to DM me on Instagram at beta.nation, or leave a comment, or maybe even email me. Thank you so much for watching.